So who's next?
Acceptable months.
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next. Who's next?
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit different. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one. You right, I go to Diddy parties. To walk mother out. Cause ain't nobody stopping me when I come.
P Diddy sits in a cold cell today. A stunning fall for the man who once ruled hip-hop from golden thrones. But what if everything you've heard about his case is just the surface? What if the real reason courts keep denying his bail has nothing to do with witness protection or flight risk concerns? What if authorities uncovered a secret escape plot so elaborate it makes Prison Break TV shows look amateur? Sean Diddy Combs, the man who built an empire worth nearly $1 billion, who hosted the most lavish white parties in the Hamptons, who rubbed shoulders with presidents and royalty, now spends his days in an 8x10 cell at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. No silk sheets, no gourmet meals, no freedom. The contrast couldn't be more shocking. Let's talk about the bail situation that has everyone scratching their heads.
The flight was always going to be a tough argument for the government because obviously Combs voluntarily came to New York. He surrendered his passports through his lawyer. He could have fled after the March raids of his Miami and Los Angeles homes, but he didn't. He has access to 2 private jets. I think it was a tougher argument. I know the government made the argument, but clearly the best argument was the dangerousness and the witness tampering. They had much more evidence.
Now let's set the stage.
Diddy offered an eye-popping $50 million bail package. That's not a typo. $50 million. For context, that's enough money to buy a private island, a fleet of supercars, or fund a small country's budget. His legal team proposed house arrest in a luxury Manhattan apartment with 24/7 private security, ankle monitors, and every possible tracking device known to man. Yet, judges keep slamming the door in his face. Why?
With all the money he has and all the resources he has, they couldn't craft some solution that lets him be under some form of house arrest. And again, it sounds like special treatment, but the truth of the matter is, to incarcerate somebody like him is expensive to all of us. We're taxpayers, and he's got to have unique situations. You can't put him in general population where, everyone wants a piece of him and everyone wants to be his friend and everyone. So
the official story is that Diddy represents a danger to witnesses and might interfere with the investigation. But whispers from inside sources paint a far more disturbing picture. According to these insiders, federal authorities allegedly intercepted communications suggesting Diddy was orchestrating something far more sinister.
Well, Sierra, anything's possible, right? But now this judge has an even harder time, I think, because the past judge locked him up, didn't let him out, and he's still there available for trial. If the new judge lets him out on bond and something goes wrong, and this isn't the analysis that I'm proud to make, right? We shouldn't be saying, well, judges are worried about their own skin and how they look if something bad happens.
Now, here's where things get spicier.
A meticulously planned escape operation involving his inner circle, including family members. This wasn't just about jumping bail. This was allegedly about disappearing completely. The alleged plan reportedly involved a network of safe houses, decoy vehicles, private jets, and international connections in countries with minimal extradition agreements with the United States. Think about it. Diddy's global contacts list reads like a who's who of international power players. If anyone could assemble such a network, it would be someone with his resources and influence. Even more shocking, authorities apparently discovered this plan through surveillance, intercepted messages, and possibly a mole within Diddy's inner circle. Someone close to him may have betrayed his trust in the most dramatic way possible. But here's where things get even more complex. Several of Diddy's family members are now allegedly under FBI scrutiny. Investigators are reportedly examining their financial activities, communication records, and recent travel patterns. If these allegations hold any weight, it could mean that the very people who've stood by Diddy through his rise to fame might now be implicated in serious criminal conspiracy charges. The stakes couldn't be higher, not just for Diddy, but for everyone who's ever been close to him.
worse than others. And the problem, again, is if you move him, why is he getting special treatment? And maybe he's earned special treatment. Maybe what he's done, maybe he's given so much back to his fans and to the world and to charity that maybe there's a way that it plays out in the end. But again, to go into court and say this jail is bad, move him to another jail, is not your first argument.
While speculation swirls outside, Diddy's reality inside the Metropolitan Detention Center is grim beyond imagination. This facility has earned a reputation as hell on earth for good reason. Inmates report maggot-infested food, frequent violence, and living conditions that human rights advocates have condemned repeatedly. For a man who once commanded luxury yachts and private islands, the adjustment must be soul-crushing. There's no pillow, just a thin mattress on a metal frame. No chef-prepared meals, just barely edible slop served on plastic trays. No assistants catering to his every need, just corrections officers who couldn't care less about his former status. But what if these harsh conditions aren't just the unfortunate reality of America's prison system? What if they're part of a calculated strategy? Former federal prosecutors have suggested that authorities sometimes use these extreme conditions as leverage to break down high-profile defendants. The psychological warfare is simple but effective. Make someone accustomed to extreme luxury experience, extreme deprivation, day after day, week after week, until the thought of cooperating, of naming names and detailing crimes becomes more appealing than enduring another day in those conditions. Adding to this pressure is the fact that Diddy's ability to work with his legal team has been severely restricted. While he's been granted access to a laptop preloaded with case materials, the limitations on when and how he can use it are significant. Imagine trying to mount a defense for a case this complex while confined to a small room with limited resources and minimal contact with your attorneys. It's a setup that seems almost designed to hinder him, and some legal experts are questioning whether that's precisely the point.
It's someone with his resources and influence.
By everything, they're going to try to transfer him, they're going to try to get him out. You know, in a normal case where it's a high-profile person or a well-funded person, the prosecution and the judge is a little bit more concerned about wrongful prosecution because people that are mad that they're being arrested for a crime they didn't commit can turn around and file for malicious prosecution.
Diddy's former associate, Sam Bankman-Fried, who's also been held at the Metropolitan Detention Center, described him as kind during their brief interactions. But kindness doesn't equate to contentment.
Obviously I've only seen one piece of him, which is, Diddy in prison. And, he's been kind to people in the unit. He's been kind to me. It's a position no one wants to be in. Obviously he doesn't, I don't, as you said, it's kind of a soul-crushing place for the world in general.
Behind closed doors, sources claim Diddy is struggling to maintain his composure as the reality of his situation sinks in.
But no one wants to be in prison. And you can imagine what happens when you take sort of 40 people, all of whom have been at least charged with crimes, and lock them in a single room for years on end and throw out the key, which is the most trivial things become all that people have left to care about.
The man who once controlled every aspect of his environment now controls nothing. Not when he eats, sleeps, or even uses the bathroom. As the trial date inches closer, the questions only multiply. Will the mounting pressure of his confinement push Diddy to strike a deal? Will he implicate others in the industry to save himself? Or will he dig in his heels and fight to clear his name, no matter the cost? The stakes couldn't be higher, not just for Diddy, but for the entire music industry. If he starts naming names, who knows how many other powerful figures might fall? This case is far from over, and the most shocking revelations may still be ahead. Whether you see Diddy as a victim of circumstance or a man finally facing accountability, one thing is clear. His story represents one of the most dramatic falls from grace in entertainment history. And as his legal saga continues to unfold, the world will be watching, wondering what other secrets might come to light.
It's a question of that, but when you read through the indictment, it's pretty clear who could be indicted as a co-conspirator. Right now, there are people in the indictment who would be considered unnamed co-conspirators, but clearly have played a role in this conspiracy. And I think prosecutors have some big leverage on them because they're hoping that they testify against Diddy as prosecution witnesses.
Thank you for watching Buzzed Celebs. If you found this deep dive into Diddy's legal nightmare eye-opening, please hit that subscribe button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and give us a thumbs up. Are you Team Diddy is being unfairly targeted, or Team Justice is finally being served? Let us know below, and we'll see you in the next video.